All right, teammates. We are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the #1 show on innovative teamwork. Great to have you. To my regular listeners, you already know how I get down. I get right to the point. And as always, I have a treat for you. First of all, shout out to Podmatch again for taking my what was a solo episode show and turning it back into a show that has regular guests because they've taken all the logistical work out of doing, the finding guests and all that. And I have a guy, man, a dude. You know what we call those dudes in football when we're really scouting and looking at people? He's a dude. He's a dude that is humble. He's about freedom. He's about servant leadership. He's about so much of what you need to be about and stop the complaining. He's so much about losing the victim mentality and is as straight shooter of a guy I've ever had on this show, which is saying a lot. So with all that, Nicky Billou, welcome to the Move Swiftly podcast. Great to have you, man.
It's an honor to be here, my friend. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited and ready to rock.
Listen, and you have a great story, and we are recording this. It's the day after Father's Day, and you have a background in which you honor your father in a very, very great way. And I'd love for you to just start off by giving us a little bit about your background. I know you've experienced training Olympic athletes, you help entrepreneurs, but you always and I've listened to you quite a bit now, you always go back to your foundation and how your father raised you and how honored you are to kind of bear his name. So I'll kind of give you the mic for a second and just kind of share your background a little bit and go from there.
Thank you so much. I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. When I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution took place in Iran. And that was a cataclysmic, world-changing event. It took Iran from this westernized, forward-looking, forward-thinking, fast-growing country, and it basically plunged us in some ways into the Dark Ages. And my late father, God rest his soul, he could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't going to be a place to raise a Christian family. So he and my mom, they got together, they talked, they made a plan, and it took them a while. It took them from the time I was 11 to almost 15, but they got us out of Iran, and we settled eventually where I now live in Toronto, Canada. Now at the time, man, I'm a kid, right? I'm 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't want to leave my home. I don't want to leave my friends. Right? But in retrospect, it was the single greatest thing mom and dad could have done for me and my two brothers. They took us from a legacy of tyranny and they brought us to a legacy of freedom. Inside every human breast beats the living heart of freedom. Every man, every woman on this planet wants, desires, nay, needs to march to the tune of their own drummer, to chart their own course. And you know what? Looking back, oh my God, God bless my father. God bless my mother for what they did, and I have become one of the biggest champions for freedom there. And I think it takes, an immigrant to really show the native born in America, in Canada, in the UK, and in the rest of the West, how precious freedom really is. Yeah. I got to tell you, when I was a kid in my home country, my dad was walking in to vote in the first presidential election in Iran after the Shah was deposed. When he walked into the polling station, there was a Revolutionary Guard soldier with a G3, Heckler and Koch, H&K G3 assault rifle in his hands. What he did is he growled at my dad and said, "Give me that," and grabbed the ballot out of his hands. He marked it, put it in the box, glared at him and said, "You can go now." Right? And the leading candidate who looked like he was going to win, the powers that be trumped up some charges against him and tried to throw him in jail. He had to flee the country. Think about that. And eventually he got assassinated. And sound familiar, America, right about now? Sound like something that never happened in this nation before that you guys are seeing right now? And I'm telling you this is not a political statement. I'm not here to talk politics per se, but I'm here to tell you this. If you truly believe that America is a special place, that is the freest, greatest nation in the world, as Abraham Lincoln said, it is the last best hope of mankind. You cannot be a Democrat or a Republican or an independent right now. You need to go look at the people in power and you need to say, we do not do this in the United States of America. We do not go after our opponents, especially when they're losing to them in the polls. and try to jail them, because we don't want to be that kind of country. Because guess what's going to happen when the other side finally gets in? They're going to do the exact same thing. They're going to go after their political opponents. And that is not good, because then freedom will be eroded. Anybody can be plucked at any time and thrown in jail. And you don't want that crap. Now, coming back to the conversation of freedom, my father was a champion for freedom too, man. He's the greatest man I've ever known.
Right.
Brother, if you knew him and you were looking for work, he'd sit you down in his office and he'd say, wait here. And he'd call all his entrepreneur buddies and he would ethically manipulate them until one of them gave you a job. And he'd say, hey, you're starting in today. You're starting in an hour. Get going. Here's your salary. Here's where you're going. Rock it. If you were trying to start a brand new business, he'd sit you down and he'd say, oh, okay, tell me what you're trying to do. And he would listen intently. He'd give you his best advice. He'd bring you people to help you get access to capital. He'd bring you people that would help you actually, brother, get clients. And he'd do this even if you were like a competitor, because he didn't really believe in competition. Right. And if you were a friend of his and you were trying to buy a car or a house and you couldn't quite get enough money from the bank, he'd give you what he called a loan. But then when you tried to pay it back, he'd never let you pay it back.
Right.
You know? And I looked at my dad. I wanted to be like him. This was the greatest man I've ever known. Everybody loved Napoleon Billou, right? And so I wanted to be somebody people looked up to. And when I was growing up, he'd always tell me, son, remember that man standing in front of you? That's someone's son. That's someone's brother. That's someone's husband. That's someone's father. That's a hero to somebody. Maybe he was ripped off by someone just like you in business. It's your job to restore his faith in humanity. He said, son, you need to believe in people. Everybody needs someone to believe in them. You need to just automatically believe in people, right? Love people, give them all you got, because every human being has moments where their self-belief wobbles, where they start to think, can I do it? Do I have what it takes? And it could just be you giving them that spark of belief that'll help turn their innate greatness into a roaring fire when they're going to go out there and they're going to go crush life. And if you think about that, my friend, that is absolutely the truth. My father passed away 4 years ago. And when he passed away, he passed the Billou torch to me. And you know, I'm all about helping people in business, but the thing I'm most proud of is that I believe in people. Right. And Dad would say this to me when I was a kid. He'd say, son, life is a people game. It's not a money game. I go, okay, Dad. He said, business is even a people game. It's not a money game. And I'm 8 years old, so I'm a smart aleck. I go, Dad, come on. Of course, business is about money. Without money, you can't do no business. Ha, 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 Dad. See, I'm smart. I'm smart. He said, you're right, son. But you know what? Without people, there's no need for money. There's no need for money, because all business is solving problems for people for profit. That's the purpose of business. You solve acute problems for amazing people at an awesome profit. Right. And that is the awe-inspiring purpose of business. And me, I got into business and I started to see I wanted to help entrepreneurs. I thought entrepreneurs like you're society's greatest heroes, man. You know, without you, no innovation happens. Without you, no dreams come alive. And so I want to help entrepreneurs. And here's what I saw. There's a lot of good people in business, yeah? But some of them, man, their ethics, their morals, they're the highest. But their sales and marketing skills, not so much. You know what I'm saying? They're a little afraid of asking for the sale. They don't want to be seen as pushy. They don't want to be seen as, you know, one of these guys with commission breath that you can smell it a mile away before they even come near you, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Strength. Yeah, they don't really have strength. They feel like, all right, if I ask for the money, I'm being the guy that just wants money. When again, if you believe in your services, if you believe in your heart what you're offering, then you would feel like you have to ask for it because you know you're helping someone. That's when that's the test, guys. Our listeners. First of all, I told you you were in for a treat, right? First of all, but the test of how much you really believe in your product is how willing are you to ask for the money, because you truly in your heart believe what you have will solve someone else's problems. That's the key right there. All right. It's either you in it or you're not. Go ahead. I mean to steal your thunder there, man. Go ahead.
No, dude.
That happens on the show, by the way.
Beautifully. You said it beautifully, right? So here's the thing that I found. These people, because they're afraid of sales, they don't get business they should get, right? So they would not go after business because they don't want to be seen that way. So some charlatan marketer, a guy with low ethics and morals, but high levels of sales and marketing skills, goes out, gets the business, but they don't care if they deliver. So who gets hurt? The client gets hurt, but you get hurt because you don't get the business. Even the charlatan gets hurt because what goes around comes around. God has said that.
Yeah.
Right? God has said that.
Mm-hmm.
And the sum total of goodness in the world goes down. So you know what I do, bro? The number one thing is I look for good people who really, they have a skill, but they're scared. Right. And I help them overcome that fear, and I help them reframe sales into service. Reframe it into service. No one wants to be sold. You don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold, right? But don't you love being served by a caring human being?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I teach these people to do. Reframe it into service. And all that does is have them look at it differently. So they start having the conversations and they make the money. Mm-hmm. Now, it sounds easy. It's not easy, but it is simple. And I can tell you this. Just recently, I had a fella in my community. First name's Michael, okay? Mm-hmm. Michael's an accountant, tax accountant. Not a guy with a lot of, how can I put it, charisma. You understand what I'm saying? Like, not a ton of charisma. But he's a good man. He's a good man. He cares about people. And he wanted to do better. So he joined a sales accountability program we run, where we go deep. We get people out of whatever negative beliefs in their way, and we get them to take the actions that generate sales. And we show them how to have conversations in a brilliant way, a powerful enrollment conversation where if the person needs your help, you ask for the help. We show them how to overcome objections. We show them how to be rock stars at selling and proudly sell, because they know sales is love. Sales is service. I say this, sales is an act of love. And dude, Michael had never done more than 30 grand in a 3-month period ever in his life. Mm-hmm. 3 months with us. We call our program 90K in 90 days. 3 months with us. He made $89,600. So he fell $400 short of the 90K, brother. But so, man, that's amazing. He went from $30,000 in his best 3 months to $89,600. That's almost 60 grand more. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And that, my friend, that is the power of belief. Believing in somebody, showing them the way, getting them out of their own way, getting the fear out of their own way, and not allowing that super villain that's in their mind, that part of them that wants to just keep them safe and not going after their dreams, to be in charge, and having the superhero be in charge. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because when that superhero's in charge, victory is yours.
Yeah, and I think it's important to mention too, because there could be listeners their first time meeting you, they look at you and say, man, for that Nicky, it was all good all the time. They could be just judging you based on the past 10 minutes and man, he must have had it together all the time. But I want to make sure we mention the fact that you went through some really tough times. You went through a really difficult divorce. You were living out on your mom's couch. You were a trainer at the time. And there was a situation where I'll let you kind of interject here, but there was a situation in which you saw a coach, you saw you saw a person that promised to help you out, and you didn't have the money, right? You didn't have the money, but there was things that you were able to pull together because you believed it in your heart that you can serve people. So, I'll kind of let you take it away, but I know I listened to it this morning, but I want to make sure, I give you the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about your low points and how you were able to pull yourself out of that to where now you've developed this passion, this love for people, this huge, humongous heart to where you just want to help the people that want to help themselves as well. So I'll let you kind of take it away.
I appreciate that. So I think we need to frame that conversation a bit. Mm-hmm. To me, if someone's listening to this and says, Nicky, what does it take to be successful? I say, I will only work with a client if they demonstrate 4 qualities in abundance. The first one is you got to be decisive and committed, right? You got to say, okay, I'm doing this. I am here. This is going to be my year. And committed means you got to be willing to be bad before you're average, before you're good, before you're great. You cannot go in there going, I got to be perfect day one. No, sir. Yeah. No, sir. Only the people that are willing to be bad first are going to be great someday, or the best that ever was. That's super, super important. Then next, you gotta believe in investing in yourself, in being coachable. Robin Sharma, who was a client of mine back in my training days, the author of the amazing book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, once said to me, if you ever want to double your income in a given year, triple your investment in personal and professional development, you got to hire the coaches, join the
Hear that
mastermind.
again. I don't mean to cut you off, but I
Yeah, you
want
got
the
to, if you
listeners
want to double your
to
income, you
hear
got
that.
to triple your investment in personal and professional development. You
Yes,
got to
sir.
hire the coaches. You got to join the masterminds. You got to attend the conferences. You got to sign up for the courses. You got to buy and read the books,
Yes.
right? Businesses invest to make money all the time. Invest. If you're an entrepreneur and you're a solo entrepreneur, you have assets. Your most important asset is you. You are your most important asset, which means you must get the most investment of time, energy, money, belief. That's what's important. And then finally, man, you got to be resourceful. Like, you need to find a way to come up with the money. You need to find up with a way to come up with the time and the energy. And this leads to my story.
Yeah.
So a while ago, over a decade ago, my then wife, seemingly out of the blue, decided she didn't want to be married to me anymore. Maybe I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. And I spiraled. She kicked me out of the house. I was sleeping on my mother's couch. I was making no money. And I mean, no money. A friend of mine took pity on me and he bought me a ticket to a conference. So I put on my nice suit. I went with him. I saw a man deliver a talk and it spoke to my soul. So when the talk was over, I raced to the front and I said, I think I need to hire you. Told him my story first. He looks at me and he goes, all right, son, I need to tell you something. My minimum fee is $5,000. It's for 5 hours of my time. And I require payment in full, upfront, in advance. I offer no guarantees and I offer no refunds. You still want to hire me, son? And I went, whoa. Oh, I don't have any money, man. He said, okay, I'm going to give you some free coaching. I said, free coaching. I love that. Give me some free coaching.
Right.
He said, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I said, hold up. You just told me I got to give you $5,000. Of course it matters how much money I have. He said, you need to understand something. I got 20 people lined up to work with me. My minimum fee is $5,000. I charge a lot more than that for my average program. I don't need your $5,000, but you need me. I didn't like hearing that, but he was right.
Right.
And I said, okay, go on. He said, well, it doesn't matter how much money you have. What matters is, how bad do you want change? You've been sleeping on your mother's couch. Your wife kicked you out of the house. You haven't seen your kids. You haven't been able to take care of them. How much longer you want to put up with this sad, sorry state of affairs? A day, a week, a month, a year, a lifetime? I'm like, whoa, no. So give me a couple days. So I'm in an appointment to see him in his office in a couple days. In the meantime, I was a trainer then. So I went and I called some people that I've been in discussion with who'd said neither yes nor no to working with me. And I called them with a lot of urgency. And I said, hey, it's Nicky. I got good news. They said, what's the good news? I said, you're fat and you need to lose weight or you're going to have a health incident and it's going to be over for you. And they're like, yeah. I said, I'm broke and I need money or I won't be allowed to see my kids. So I'm going to give you the deal of a lifetime, half price. But here's the catch. I need an answer now and I need payment in full now. So what's it going to be? Guy tried to hem and haw and I said, I'm going to hang up and the deal's off the table. So yes or no? He said yes. Another man said yes. So I had $2,000.
It goes back to being decisive now. All right. Again, listeners, the reason I'm re-emphasizing there, even when you don't have the money, it goes back to being very decisive if you want to actually make change. So go ahead.
So that's what happened. And the deal was this. I went back to see this man. Bill was his name.
Yeah.
I had $2,000. Yeah. I was excited. I came in, I dropped the $2,000 on the table. I said, here you go. He looks and he said, that's great, son, but I said 5, not 2. My spirit sank for a moment. But then I looked at him and I said, hey, Bill, how many people have you told this story that you told me to? He said, over the years, 30, maybe 40. I go, wow, that's a lot of people. He says, yep. He said, besides me, who else ever came back to you with any money? He said, oh, you're the first. I'm the first.
Mm-hmm.
The first. The first. The
Yeah.
very first. I said, oh. So, Bill, I'll tell you what, take my 2 grand
Mm-hmm.
and I'll sign a contract saying that I'll pay you the balance in 30, 60 days, whatever the case may be, because I want change bad. And he agreed. Within the next 6 months, I made 6 figures after making zero for a year.
Right.
Zero. And I paid him off early. The question really that I put to you and to your listener,
Yeah.
how bad do you want change? How much longer are you willing to put up with your current shitty situation?
Mm-hmm.
See, because people take action only when they're either hungry for change or they're excited about the future. And I want to show you a little drawing that I made
Mm-hmm.
because this is an important thing. So you're either angry at your current situation, like I was, or you're excited about the future. That's when you take action. In the middle is what I call the apathy zone. I
Mm-hmm.
was stuck in the apathy zone. You might be stuck in the apathy zone right now. Things aren't that bad. You're not angry, but you're not super excited. So you're not really ready to make change.
Mm-hmm.
And as a professional salesperson, you need to take your clients out of the apathy zone and either put them in the hungry zone or in the excited zone. If you are unable to do that in a sales conversation, you will not make a sale.
There's a lot there. There's a lot there, and I want to make sure I give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about your business. I believe it's called eCircle, the eCircle company that you started. But when you got to that point where you, and again, I so resonate with that story. I mean, I went to a Tony Robbins event about 4 or 5 years. I was sleeping at a gym, and I went to a Tony Robbins event, and I spent the $600 that I barely even had just to get there. And 5 years later, I have 5 books in this podcast. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I echo everything you're talking about in terms of if you want to take action, if you're actually tired of actually living in that situation, you're going to find the money to do it, right? So my question to you though is, now that you've gone through that, you actually took the initiative and you got coached, and now you are in the position you are now. How does your company serve people? How do you help people? I know you sort of mentioned it earlier with the gentleman that made $89,000, but if someone's listening to you now and they're sold, they're ready to move forward, what's the best way to get in touch with you, and what's the journey that you kind of can take them off based on what you're able to sort of share now?
Well, the first step is to do what I call a success call. It's a discovery of sorts where you get on my calendar and you fill out a form telling me a bit about you and your business.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit down with you and I dive deep into that. I dive deep into what isn't working, what the pain of that is for you.
Right.
And then I lay out a roadmap on how to get you from point A to point B. And I offer you a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a few programs that I offer to people. So one is this sales lead program I told you about. Another thing that I do is thought leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I have a program that teaches people how to be seen as the go-to expert, the thought leader in their field, so they're not invisible to the marketplace anymore. Had a lot of success with that program, and God bless me. If somebody is interested in nailing their message, being seen as the go-to expert in their space, if someone's interested in getting way better at selling than they currently are right now, and they want to add 6 figures, 250,000 plus to their business, I'm interested in them having a phone call with me,
Mm-hmm.
because that success call will lay out a roadmap for how to do that.
Now, what's the best way? Is it through LinkedIn? Is it through a website? What's the best way that people can get in touch with you?
I've got thank you
Yeah.
for that question. I should have said that. I've got a booking link. It's ecircleacademy.com/appointment. So you just go to that link, click on it. There'll be times that it'll be populated, and we'll take it from there.
Absolutely. And again, as you listeners, so much. I mean, I love the fact that he even forgot to say the name of the website or the name of the company, because so often in this internet and digital age, you guys spend so much time making sure the website's fancy. You may spend so much time on your logo. You spend so much time doing all the logistical things to make you look like you're successful, when half the time it is just boiling down to making your calls, sitting down, making your sales calls, getting uncomfortable, and getting to work. That's the difference. And again, I interview a lot of people. There's a lot of people that's been on this show. And again, I can tell at this point when someone's really about it, because they damn near forget to name the website to send you to. They just know, I'm here. I'm me. If you really want to connect with me, you will find a way. You will Google Nicky Billou and say, all right, I'm getting in touch because I heard him on the Move Swiftly podcast. And that's the guy that I felt his energy through whatever lens it is or whatever medium I'm actually listening to this on. So, with all that, Nicky, I do want to be very respectful of your time. One thing, the way I close out all the shows, and I can't wait to do this with you, right? Is I want you to use your imagination a little bit. Your ex-wife just told you that that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. You're kicked out. You're not sure when you're gonna see your kids. You're waking up on your mom's couch. I want you to pretend that guy, just envision it for a second. Pretend that he has clicked into the Zoom room. He's here. He's looking you in your face, and just give him some words of encouragement, and we'll officially close with that.
I love you. I believe in you. Keep moving forward. You will find your way.
Oh man, that was heartfelt, man. That truly was heartfelt, because it was calm. And there's a lot of people. Again, I normally close out after people give that, but certain times I got to interject. But there's so many men out there that have gone through what you've gone through, have gone through a separation, have gone through a divorce, are living in a situation where they don't want to be, lost their businesses. And like you said, it crumbles them, but there's no lifeline. We're big men. We don't want to tell you I love you, all that kind of bullshit that, gets fed to us as young kids. And I know for a fact that you helped someone. It took you overcoming a lot of the things that we as men are told. So again, as someone, and just so you listeners know, this is the first conversation I'm having with Nicky. This is all organic stuff. You know me by now. You know I give nothing but organic conversation on this show. I don't bullshit you. I don't give you any fluff. There's no, little script or anything we're going by. This is just, again, people talking. So with all that, fellow team, I know you enjoyed this one. Again, just, if you want to put the website out again, just in case, it'll be included in the show notes as well. But it is ecircle.com/appointment, correct?
eCircleAcademy.com. eCircleAcademy.com.
eCircleacademy.com. Just hit the appointment tab, get in touch with Nicky. And with all that, everyone out there, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.
Awesome. Pleasure to be here.